Okay, it has been the longest January ever. We're still going, we're still here. The last video that I posted was my best of beauty skincare, and I know I said after that I was gonna share my makeup and hair pics, and then the LA fires happened. We have just been totally uprooted for like the last couple of weeks and just figuring out how to cope with this new version of life in the city that we live in. I grew up here, and so I'm just gonna start with like a little bit of a personal update, and then I'm gonna get into things that have sort of got me through the things that have like been sort of creature comforts in the month of January, which we're, only partway through at this point. So if you want to skip ahead to the products, feel free to do that. I'll have everything timestamped by category below, but just a little bit of a personal update on my end. We've obviously been really lucky. We have been packed to evacuate for like 2 weeks. I had one night that was like a super close call, packed up my car in the middle of the night. Every night has been sort of a scary, like wake up every hour, check watch duty, check the news, all of that. And for those of you guys who don't live in LA, I'm sure everyone understands the magnitude of these fires at this point. Everyone I know who lives in this city knows somebody who has lost a home or knows multiple people that have lost a home. I do personally. It's been an event that has completely changed our city. It's changed the way I understand climate crisis and disaster, and it's going to be a long road and recovery ahead. I have been personally donating money, in-kind donations. I've been trying to give as much of myself to the recovery process as I can. And I know obviously a lot of you guys are not here in California or in LA, so I'm going to link some really good resources below. I've been sharing stuff on Instagram. While we're so fortunate to have our health and our home, it's still been very kind of this collective traumatic thing, witnessing the devastation and also just sort of like living alongside it and knowing people who have lost even more than we have. So I'm just kind of trying to find a way back into things to some sense of normalcy, even though there's really no going back. There's only moving forward with this new understanding of the city we live in and the kind of potential crises that may happen again and probably will happen again in the face of unmitigated climate crisis. So I don't want to get into it too much. I've shared more personal stuff over on Instagram and stuff. Follow me there for the more day-to-day stuff, but I would be remiss to not address it here because I still feel weird. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of fumbling around and figuring out how to get back into this stuff. And obviously like beauty and all of this stuff feels very silly in the face of huge disaster, but I am trying to find my way back into my routines, back into my work. And these are the things that also bring us comfort. So that's where I'm coming from. Again, we'll share lots of resources below in the description box as much as I can of like vetted GoFundMe donation links, as well as organizations that are doing really great work here in LA. And the final note I want to leave with is just that the road to recovery is going to be a long one. And I think there's going to be like an initial surge of donations and volunteering and empathy, but that surge will run out and it's going to be a long process to rebuild. I know a lot of people who are going to be in that process. So that's work that I feel committed to in my communities, and we'll try to share that as much as I can here. Okay, so part of what's been so disorienting about these last couple weeks is that I've just been so tired. I don't know anyone who's sleeping well right now. We are all waking up every hour, checking on our friends, checking on our family, checking on the weather and fire containment and new fires, and it's just been a lot. One of the things that I've actually weirdly been testing during this time has been a new pillow. If you are a side sleeper like me or a stomach sleeper, you like to do the starfish, as I like to call it, I have a pillow for you that I think will be really useful and helpful. This portion of the video is actually sponsored by Sleep and Glow, and I have their Omnia pillow. It's specifically designed with side sleepers in mind. I feel like I've used so many different kinds of pillows in my life, and this one is actually designed in a very unique shape that helps support side sleepers and stomach sleepers, and it also helps prevent the sort of like pillow creases that eventually sort of turn into wrinkles over time. I always wake up puffy. I never really associated it with sleeping on my face, but that actually makes sense. This is the pillow, and basically it has these grooves on the side, so when you lay your head down on the side of the pillow, it actually doesn't smush against your face. When I'm using a regular pillow, pillow, you can see how squished my face gets. But the Omnia pillow cradles my face and allows the face to kind of float in that little curve. The Omnia pillow is also designed by orthopedists to ensure the correct spinal alignment, and they conducted research at a dermatological clinic in Barcelona that showed a wrinkle reduction of 87% in patients. So if you're curious to try, I do have a code. It's Becca10. Full details are in the description box. Let's get back to makeup. In terms of beauty, I actually haven't been wearing a ton of makeup, but one of the recent launches that I have been wearing is the new Summer Fridays shades of their lip balm. They came out with 4 new shades. These are the new shades. These are the older shades. It's a really good extension, and I really like that even in their first range, there's a range from light to deep, as well as cool and warm tones. The one I'm wearing right now is called Rosebud, and it almost looks like a lavender in the tube. It's a very, very cool toned pink, but I've actually been liking a sort of milkier pinky lip. I do have this paired with a lip liner, so it cools that down and it just brings in this like milkiness. It's almost a little bit Y2K, but I have been really into that. If you're not familiar with this formula, it's actually kind of very similar to the Make Beauty serum balms. It's like a liquid balm formula. It's not sticky, it's not glossy, and they are hydrating. There's a touch of mintiness, but they're not spicy. That mintiness actually subsides really quickly. This is the shade Fair Sand. It's a very, very light, neutral nude. I actually love how neutral that is. It's not pink, it's almost like a beige. And I love the chubby doe foot on these. There is the one I'm wearing right now called Rosebud. You can see just how sheer these are. And then they have a shade called Warm Beige, also such a nice nude. Ooh, so pretty. And this is Midnight Berry, so stunning. And you can see the deeper shades have much more pigment and they're gonna look gorgeous on all skin tones, but especially deep skin tones. I know a lot of sheer lip colors, aren't necessarily formulated to show up on deep skin tones, but these definitely are. Just look how gorgeous these are. And you can see they're quite adjustable in pigmentation. They're not the longest lasting lip products, but that's not what I really look for these days unless I'm going out. But for day-to-day life, this is so easy. It's the kind of thing that I just throw in my handbag and that just kind of lives there. And I will probably be putting them in my bags right after this video. These are also great because they're not products that you need to have a full face of makeup on to wear. Like I sometimes just wear a tinted SPF and this and some brow gel, and it's easy for like a day-to-day running errand sort of look. For an actual lip treatment, this has been saving my lips the last couple of weeks. It's been so dry here in LA, obviously. So this is the Equal RxN Goji Ectoin Recovery Lip Balm. And this is a very thick lip mask sort of product. They actually call it a multi-use dryness rescuing lip balm. So there's 1% ectoin, goji berry, 15% restoring emollients. It is thick in a way that I find really healing because it actually grips onto your lips. It does have a bit of shine to it actually, but it doesn't just slide around. I mean, it is buttery, but it sticks to the lips and it sticks around for a while, and that makes it really healing. And I don't think this is scented, but the goji berry maybe has a slight fruitiness to it, but it's more about healing the lips. And of course it gives you a little bit of shine, but it's been really, really saving my lips. And I really like Equal RxN. They're like a smaller indie skincare brand. They have just a few products in the line. It's not a huge range, but they're all really well formulated and very thoughtfully formulated. So I really like that. I also like their cactus. They have like a milky toner that's really lovely if you're curious to try them out. But yeah, this has been saving my dry January lips. And then, like I said, I have not been wearing makeup hardly at all these last couple of weeks, except for just like the last couple of days. I'm slowly crawling my way back into my normal routines, which includes makeup. And Vive sent over a couple of their beauty products, and I've been so curious. This is Jamie Genevieve's line. I've been so curious to try the range. This eyeshadow palette is actually everything I want and love right now. So this is the Soul Shadows palette in the shade Guilt, and it's a quad, and there are 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. It's perfect because it gives you a warm matte and a cool toned matte. I'm actually just wearing this neutral matte in my crease today, and it's kind of like the perfect just everyday one and done shade. But the shimmers are so buttery as well, and these textures are phenomenal. They are creamy, they're dense, but they're not, they're quite tightly packed. Like they're not super powdery, but they blend like a dream. So let me swatch these for you real quick. Okay, so here are the swatches. You can see how shiny and metallic these two middle shades are, and the mattes themselves are so velvety and creamy, and they spread out beautifully. And these shimmers are just so dimensional. It's interesting because they're not super dense, but they have this gorgeous glide to them, and they do sort of look wet across the eyes. But if I'm honest, it's really these two shades that I wear the most and have been wearing, the bottom two shades. I don't wear as many warm shades these days, but these two are just stunning, perfect. And I don't know if she has more shades of these eyeshadows, but I kind of want them. And the palette itself is perfect. It's this beautiful, like ridged texture, very satisfying. And you get a big mirror in here as well. So I'm really excited to try more from Vive. I've heard really good things about them, and I'm just dying for these eyeshadows. I don't even wear eyeshadow a lot lately, but these have made me want to pick up my eyeshadows again. Let's talk about a little bit of skincare. I've actually been keeping my skincare very, very minimal the last couple of weeks, mostly because I've actually had my go bag packed. So I've been using stuff out of my packed up toiletry go bag, but this has been a newish release that I have been loving. It kind of has surprised me. So this is the Naturium Multipeptide Rich Cream. It's an extension of their multipeptide line. So they have a serum, they have a lighter moisturizer, and this is thick. It's like what I use as a night mask, but it is so delicious and so healing. I do feel like in my mid-30s, I am getting drier skin, specifically in the winter. Like this is the driest my skin has ever been. So let me show you the texture. It's thick. You can see there's like a bit of a stiffness to it, and it has this really beautiful emollients, and it just melts into the skin, and it creates this cocoon quality over the skin. And I feel like it's really locking in moisture. It really locks in any hydrating serums, toners, essences, products I'm using underneath this. And I actually feel like it seals this in overnight. And of course, it's fragrance free. It's really sensitive skin friendly. I actually use it all over my neck and my décolleté as well, where I have some sensitivity. And it's just been so healing, so lovely, so comforting on the skin. And also when I'm using like actives and retinoids and I need some extra moisture in the skin, this has been beautiful. Love it. I do have a Naturium discount code. It's Becca15 if you're curious to use it. And then I've actually been testing this since before the launch. I received this at a Naturium holiday event over the holidays recently, and I've been testing it for about a month maybe. It's the Naturium Urea 5% Body Serum, and it's so lovely. So Urea has a slight exfoliating quality, not as much as like a chemical exfoliant, not your AHA, BHAs. Does have a light exfoliating quality that actually makes for softer skin because it sort of like breaks down dead skin cells. And the serum texture is so nice because it absorbs into the skin really fully, and it doesn't leave residue behind, but it is still really moisturizing, and it leaves my skin feeling so soft, specifically like my arms and legs, knees, anywhere where you might get some ashiness, especially in the winter. This sort of breaks down that dryness, and I feel like despite being a serum texture, it's really moisturizing. So let me just show you a little bit. That's actually a lot, but you can see how light it is. It just melts right into the skin. It's so beautiful. I'm actually gonna use this on my arm so I don't waste it, but it has this really lovely glide. It feels almost like a water cream. It's not as fluid as like a hydrating serum, but it has that fluidity that comes from like a water gel. So those are my Naturium picks. Again, code is Becca15. I have a new SPF that I just opened that I'm really liking. It's the Mixsoon Centella Sun Cream. Of course, it's a chemical SPF. It's a K-Beauty SPF, so there's no white cast. SPF 50, PA, 4+. I really like this because it's a little bit stiffer than the traditional like serum-y textures that I like, but I actually find this to be really moisturizing, and it makes my makeup look really good over top. I feel like it gives me a lot of glow actually. And of course I'm wearing a full skincare routine, moisturizer, as well as this, although you could just use this as your moisturizer, and I have. For me, I think it's more of a winter SPF because of its creaminess. I don't know if this would be too heavy for me in the summer. Obviously, I haven't tried it in the summer yet, but I really like the sort of even moisturized glowy base that it creates for me under my makeup. It does have a slight like K-beauty floral scent. It does stick around a little bit. It's not totally unscented, but it doesn't really bother me. I've kind of gotten used to it, and I just really like the way it makes my skin look and feel. And then I have some new hair care items. I just recently opened up the Lapkos shampoo and conditioner. This is their Dr. 14 line, which is their hair care line, and it's their revitalizing scalp care range. So this is designed specifically to moisturize, exfoliate, and optimize scalp health. I have been really liking this for, especially when my scalp is kind of greasy, for a really thorough cleanse. And the conditioner is really rich and hydrating as well. I also love that this comes in a mint scent, and it gives you a little bit of a tingle on the scalp. I don't know if that actually does anything in terms of like changing your scalp or the condition of your scalp, but sensorially it feels really lovely and slightly cooling, and it just feels extra clean because it's minty. Actually, now that I'm reading this, there is a little bit of salicylic acid in this, which helps with flakes, dry scalp. It will exfoliate the scalp a little bit. I didn't even realize that. That's really interesting. And like I said, the conditioner is really rich. It's moisturizing. It's left my hair feeling really shiny and lovely. And I also love how big the bottles are with the pump. It just feels extra satisfying. This is 480 milliliters, 16.23 fluid ounces. Okay, the last item I feel kind of badly talking about because you can't get it in the US, but in case you're traveling to Asia or Korea sometime soon, I have to mention this. So this is the Tambourines Salty Vanilla perfume. This is the packaging it comes in. I saved it just because it's so stunning. This is the actual perfume. I got this, well, I actually asked my parents to pick it up because they went to Korea a couple of months ago. And I've been so curious to try this. Tambourines makes some of my favorite fragrances. They're a Korean fragrance house. And this has been so interesting because it's really not what I expected, but I love it. So obviously salty vanilla sort of conjures to me kind of lactonic, very gourmand sort of fragrance, almost sweet, maybe syrupy and sticky with saltiness. And that's not what this is. This actually has a very bright, sparkling, lemon forward quality to it. They actually talk about the freshness of lemon meeting the spiciness of pepper, breaking waves. It has an aquatic quality to it. It's very different from the kinds of fragrances I pick up. But then as the sparkly, light, fresh notes fade, you are left with sort of a warmer heart note. You get that vanilla, some santal. But it is just such an interesting and like different perfume, and it's very mood lifting, and it's a happy, sparkling, light, sort of clean perfume. And then it dries down into a slightly more woodsy, almost a pine note as well. There's like a woodsiness that comes through with the vanilla. So if you are curious to try a non-traditional vanilla, something that's a little bit more fresh, a little fruity, a little green, a little aquatic, this is definitely worth checking out. I mean, I really love a lot of my Tambourines fragrances. They have a lot of tea-based fragrances that are stunning. So if you happen to be traveling in Asia or near a Tambourine store, I definitely recommend trying this out. It's not the longest lasting perfume, but it's just so happy and mood lifting and delightful and light and fresh, and I've just been really loving that and appreciating that in this month especially. And then finally I'm going to finish up with some style and home things. So I have mentioned the jewelry retailer At Present before. You can check them out online. I'll link them below. I received a pearl necklace from them last year that I really loved that I mentioned, and this holiday they actually let me pick out a couple of pieces, and I picked out a couple of pairs of earrings. I think partly because I film a lot of beauty stuff, I just really like accent earrings. If you haven't noticed, I do try to link all my jewelry in my description boxes. So let me tell you about these ones. These are so cool. So they're by a jewelry designer called Lady Gray, and they're called the earlobe earrings. So they're meant to sort of mimic the bottom of your earlobe. They're a statement, they're edgy, but they're also kind of subtle at the same time. It's almost like you don't really notice it until you're really thinking about it. And I just think it's such an interesting statement piece. It's a little bit sculptural, a little bit like architectural. And even though the lobe itself is a little bit bigger than my ear, I feel like it still creates this like lifted illusion, and it brings a little bit of brightness to the face. And I just think they're cool. These are sterling silver. I actually hadn't heard of Lady Jane jewelry before, but I discovered them through At Present, and I'm very curious to try more from them. I do feel like At Present carries a really interesting range of like smaller jewelry designers. The other pair that I got, I also love. These are so beautiful. These are by Lizzie Fortunato. So they're these like bubbly gold earrings. They almost look like the Bottega earrings, but these actually have gemstones on them. So I don't know if you can tell. There is a purple gemstone, can't remember what it is, and then a yellow one, maybe it's a citrine. But these are also a statement pair. They're subtle in that they're not like huge, but they're definitely a statement, and they also bring this warmth and this light to your face. So I feel like these are a little bit more edgy but minimal, whereas these are a little bit more decorative and playful in a way. Again, can't mention At Present enough. I've discovered a lot of really interesting, modern, sort of unexpected jewelry designers on their website. So I have these as well as these that I will link below. I also have a pair of pants, or a pant design, that I want to talk about from a small LA-based designer called Gil Rodriguez. And I actually heard about these from my friend Lily, who's one of my best friends. She runs Style Like You, the YouTube channel. And so she's always wearing cool clothes. She always has. And I've seen her wear these pants. It's called the Lou pant, and they're really interesting. So this is like a small designer, and their pant size it's very inclusive, but it comes in 3 sizes. And basically it's a drawstring pant that is meant to be very wide, and then you sort of pull the drawstring, and then they become very flowy and very cool and edgy and sort of like undone, not trying too hard, very wide leg. So they actually make these in like dozens of colorways and different fabrics, denim, corduroy, and then they have like a classic cotton. I got one pair in the shade tomato. It's like a tomato bright red, and they're so cool. And then I got another pair in the chocolate brown, and I got them during their Black Friday sale. And the sizing is interesting. So I'm like a 26, 27, and they have a size 0, which is inclusive of many, many different sizes. A size 1, also inclusive of many sizes, and then a size, I think 2. So I think there are 3 sizes, but they range from petite to plus size. So I got the red pants in a size 1, and they're definitely very baggy. I got the chocolate brown pants in a size 0, and they're still baggy, but a little bit less, sort of less fabric. So it's kind of a matter of taste, I think, because it's so, I don't know, so size inclusive. Like many, many different people could fit into these pants. But it's really a matter of styling. Like if you want them to be really baggy, if you want to wear them like a little bit, I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a straighter line. So I will link those below. I also really appreciate, they have a storefront, a brick and mortar in Echo Park, I think, where I used to live. And they have been running a lot, like a donation drive for fire victims. They've been donating. They've just been doing a lot of community-based initiatives after the fires. And I really appreciate the work that they've been doing. I've been seeing it on social media and stuff. And they are also donating a portion of their profits to some of the nonprofits that are doing community work on the ground. You guys also know I've been trying to shop more sustainably and shop smaller designers, clothing that's more ethically made. and they fit right in that, and they also are just really cool. And then the last thing I want to mention is my Levoit air purifiers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in my house of different sizes, and I'll link the ones that I have below. I have one for the downstairs just because it's a very big open concept downstairs, and then I have smaller ones for the bedrooms. And you know, air quality is going to be a huge concern in LA. Even if the AQI says the air quality is good, those metrics are not meant to capture things like toxins and asbestos and everything that is in the air right now. In LA, in California, and if you're in any pollution heavy areas, the Levoit air purifiers are great. I actually have some respiratory sensitivities, and I can always tell when they're on and when they're not. So I wanted to mention that just because I think, you know, there are many, many concerns in terms of recovery, but this is going to be a chronic sort of health thing, like a long-term health thing moving forward. So please take care of your lungs. Wear your masks because there is a lot of stuff floating around. And I just want to leave you with that message, just to please take care of yourselves wherever you are, mind, body, heart, everything. I'm sending all my love to you, and again, I will link everything below, all of the resources, and please just know that I'm thinking about you if you are someone who has been affected by the fires, and I will continue to be thinking of you moving forward. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know in the comments, and of course everything will be linked. I think I already mentioned that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!